Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing good today. Now, in this presentation, I'm going to show you a little bit more about inferring fiction. If previously we tried to infer the theme of a fictional work that is quite common, quite normal, this time we are trying to work on a literary work, particularly a prose work, which is quite different. This is the kind of work that is not very common, or we may call it complex. All right, before going there, let us review a little bit of what we have done earlier. So we talked about a theme or the theme some time ago. And when we talked about it, we believe that every story, especially the modern story, contains more than one position. Every story has one character that is different from another character, at least. Okay. And when we see characters who are different, then we may get conflict. And from the conflict, uh, then we will get the theme of the story, or how the conflict is resolved makes us know about the theme of the story. A modern character and a traditional character. That's just an example of two different positions. There is also a protective character and an adventurous character, like in Finding Nemo, for example. And there are also cities and there are also villages. So there are always more than one position in a work of fiction. And these positions or these differences cause conflicts. And from the resolution of the conflict, we will get the theme. We can infer our theme. Now, let's take a more interesting journey into a different world of fiction. Here we will find challenging stories. What are challenging stories? Now that's a $5 million question for you. Now, some themes are not very easy to infer. How can that be? It's usually because the story opens midway instead of at the beginning. And there's also a possibility that the characters are not humans. So it's a bit more challenging for us to make the characterization of these characters. Now, these challenging stories make us feel, well, either first stressed out because it's difficult for you to pin down what the story actually wants you to get, or if you're this open-minded type, or if you are the type that likes challenges, then you will feel more liberated because of these challenging stories. You have more freedom to interpret the story. Now, let's try to take the second position now. Be open-minded, be open to any possibilities, and then you will feel that these challenging stories give you more freedom to interpret the story. Now, there are some tips that I usually use to infer challenging stories, to make meanings out of challenging stories. What are they? First, try to ask logical questions to know the character, where it happens, when it happens, why things in the story happen, or what happens, or what are involved, and how all this happens. Try to ask these questions so you have a mental image of what the story is about, or mental concept about the story. After asking logical questions, then start asking elaborative questions. Questions that you cannot find the story only by reading, you cannot find the answer only by reading stories. You can find the answer for elaborative questions by reading the story and find other sources, okay? Or you can also ask evaluative questions like, is it ethical? Is it good? Is it bad? And many other examples of elaborative questions. Now, after asking all these questions, try to take notes of what you feel while reading it, what you feel while reading certain lines in the story. Then try to read it over and over until you probably get another question, ask it, and try to answer it by reading a story. The key is no matter what questions you ask, please try to answer it based on some lines in the story, some sentences or words in the story. If your answer cannot be justified by any word or phrase or line in the story, then try to find more answers. All right? I guess that's all. Remember one thing, a story is written to be read by others. It's not written to make you confused, to make you stressed out, to make you depressed. No, they are written to be read. So if you still cannot find the meaning for now, wait a bit and then try to find more later. Who knows, you will eventually get there. Otherwise, the story must be a bad one. If you cannot find any meaning out of it, well, let's say the story is still bad for you. All right. I guess that's all for now, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. See you soon.